Hello everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Colour With Me, where I will be talking about contemporary art galleries, curatorial practice, and decolonial theory while colouring away. Today I'll be colouring a drawing I did of Nubia from the Wonder Woman comic series. In the comic, Nubia is Diana, aka Wonder Woman's black twin sister. The materials that I'll be using are the Ohuhu brush marker pens on the Sea White A4 marker pad. And with all that said, let's get started. The topic of this video is diversity versus cultural equity. For anyone who isn't familiar with the term cultural equity, here is a definition which I have borrowed from the website of the Alliance of Artists Communities. Cultural equity embodies the values, policies, and practices that ensure that all people, including but not limited to those who have historically been underrepresented based on race, ethnicity, age, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, social-economic status, geography, citizenship status, or religion, are represented in the development of arts policy, the support of artists, the nurturing of accessible, thriving venues for expression, and the fair distribution of programmatic, financial, and informational resources. A key part of my PhD project involves finding various ways to decenter whiteness in contemporary art galleries and exploring ways to challenge the notion that the only demographic to have contributed anything of significant value in the contemporary art scene in England is white and wealthy. However, I want to make it absolutely clear that this is not another diversity project. The gallery sector has progressed past the need for diversity projects, and I'm here to explain why. The recent popularization of diversity projects in galleries over the past couple of decades can be linked to the rebranding of the British creative and cultural sector as an industry under Tony Blair's new Labour government in the late 90s. This was part of a wider strategy which combined the effort to improve cultural diversity and the cultural economy in Britain. This initiative led to a significant increase in projects promoting diversity coming out of cultural institutions. In addition to this, just over 5 years ago, Arts Council England introduced a new requirement for their national portfolio organisations to publish diversity data. However, despite all these developments to increase diversity, the most recent Arts Council England Diversity Report revealed that people of colour and disabled people remain largely underrepresented in creative industries. In addition to this, the Arts Council England 2020 Diversity Report concluded that the proportion of unknown data on ethnicity has increased dramatically in larger organisations. If, like me, you like to stay in the know regarding developments in this area of the creative industries, you may notice some repetition in these types of research reports. Every year, these reports more or less say the same thing. Every year, organisations fall short of what's required of them. And every year, these organisations fail to face any serious repercussions. The cycle continues. Hardly any real progress is made, and data collection becomes a stand-in for doing any actual change-making work. If you ever worked on gathering data for a university Athena Swan Award, you might be able to relate. Like universities, when you look closely at how diversity is being implemented, it becomes transparent that many cultural institutions have learned how to perform diversity without challenging structural whiteness. One of the most obvious ways we can see this performance being executed in galleries is through the occasional deviation from conventional programming by hosting temporary exhibitions themed around race and diversity. These public displays of being pro-diversity often work to produce positive PR for these institutions. However, I believe that these exhibitions also work to glaze over the reality, which is that beyond these token exhibitions, there is not much effort going towards challenging structural forms of privilege and bias. Some people may see monitoring diversity, making the effort to program the odd inclusive exhibition, or showing a basic level of awareness about racism within the industry as a sign of progress. However, these activities rarely lead to any structural changes within institutions and often contribute to reaffirming power structures instead. A really good article to read on this topic is The Problem with Representation by The White Cube, which was published in 2018. In this article, art critic Serena Mohammed addresses the issues and consequences that come along with representation campaigns in the cultural industries. She writes, "It does not seek to overhaul, change, disrupt or dismantle, rather to preserve, to remove within current structures that it recognizes as broken, exploitative and oppressive, and expect to have a minority of that already excluded minority succeed within these busted frameworks." The white pube are not the first and surely won't be the last to point this out. I think if the past couple of decades have taught the English arts sector anything, is that state-implemented diversity projects do not have the range required to challenge inequalities in the arts. When I try to explain the pointlessness of trying to create diversity without making inclusive environments through structural changes, I like to quote Geraldine Corcoran, who writes, "Diversity efforts are often concentrated on how we fix individuals from marginalised or minoritized groups, or what we can do to support them to pursue and persist despite inequity. Equity concerns focus more on changing structures and systems that create these inequities in the first place. For my research project, the structures and systems that I want to change to enable cultural equity lie within the curatorial process. The research has two main areas. The first involves exposing and analysing the ways in which the standardisation of European modernist theories and curatorial practices has contributed to cultural colonialism. The second involves exploring how the curatorial process can be reimagined to undo institutional racism. For my work to be successful, decolonisation, not diversity, needs to be my focal point. What I'm most interested in is using decolonial methodologies to develop distributive justice and embed ways of working which allow historically excluded people to engage fully in spaces. Unlike neoliberal attempts at diversification, decolonization involves the destruction of structures which enable unequal distribution of artistic opportunities. This departure from the quality and diversity industrial complex is far from overdue in the gallery sector. It's about time that we replace performativity with real structural change. Well, that's it for this Colour With Me video. I hope that you enjoyed my musings and liked how this picture turned out. And if you found this video interesting, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Thank you for watching, take care and see you soon.